I mean, there's a vibe to fractals that is not only rooted in sort of the self trying to negotiate, pleasing
Hmm.
someone, but also trying to be satisfied with it. But there's also all that employment aspects of it, right?
Yeah, with like the
This
soul
guy's
and
yeah, the guy's getting his soul sucked, and that's him applying to jobs, and that's really rooted in. There's a couple things. One, that whole idea of the black hole being the job portal. People will understand once they see the movie. The That came from this snarky comment I made a couple years ago, where I was just I said to Jan, I just feel like with ZipRecruiter, I'm dumping my soul into a black hole, and it's just eating it, and all this energy is getting put into making it the perfect fucking resume, the perfect representation of me that a resume is possibly capable of. I think resumes are terrible in general. I think that they to boil a person down to a piece of paper is the worst thing society has done to
yeah,
us, and or one of the worst things. And that was kind of the seed for like this idea of creating a sentient black hole that just. But then there's also the clients I have landed, the employment I have landed, who basically like I can't tell you how many job listings I see for video and film people. I just need a guy to produce videos for me. I don't need a filmmaker. I don't need a
yeah.
filmmaker. And it's
Basically, they
just
don't want
like,
any personality. They just want robotic video.
yeah,
Yeah,
they just want raw footage that is as I'm not going to say professional as possible because I think that's a loaded word, but
almost like
as
corporate.
soulless as possible. Yeah,
Yeah,
corporate, soulless.
yeah.
And I was just getting so disenchanted by that. And I don't want to be disenchanted. I don't want to feel like I want to be wise, but I don't want to be disenchanted. And that's the other thing too, is I see so many creative people in sort of their midlife area who never achieved what they set out to achieve creatively. Maybe they were a musician, maybe they were a filmmaker, maybe they were a photographer, maybe they painted. And because they kept giving in to all of these employment expectations with it, they never really created the work that got them to the level they wanted to be at.
Yeah.
And sometimes it manifests in just quiet desperation. You can tell somebody's unhappy even though they're talented and they're not doing anything with that talent. Sometimes they're really bitter and angry. They might see you filming and might be that person who's calling the police on you. Uh, that's a very real possibility that half the people we run into that are bitter about us creating are those people. Not all the time, of course. Some people are just miserable in general. But I do think that a part of the philosophy that I discovered in the making of fractals is absolutely people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that's why they're miserable. And
It's
that's what
true.
Artie in the movie is trying to avoid. He
And it's
doesn't
funny
want to
because
become that.
I feel like it's the hard, the easier thing to do is to just, just give in. I mean, I started looking at stories of people like, Tarantino, Kurt Cobain, like any, just people, from the past who kind of achieved almost what they set out to achieve. And the one thing that I always found in common is they never ever like caved, because they must have felt, these pressures of, um, get a job, do all this. And it's funny, listen to the stories. I mean, like Kurt Cobain, I know that he sort of had like odd jobs here and there, like janitor and stuff like this, but he would literally stay at home and just put all that focus and energy. Because I almost have this belief now that you only in your lifetime have so much kind of what can become creative energy. And I feel like you have to really focus it, and the more you're able to channel into that thing that you're passionate about, the further you sort of push that train forward. Because I feel like, and this was the whole thing when we're doing this sort of company, I'd find myself, and it's not that we're selling anything I disagreed with, because obviously I think I mentioned it was stuff that, like could kind of add film grain to like digital film and stuff like this, or VFX stuff. And it was something which I'd actually used in all this, but I'd find myself writing up a, like, like a description for it, where it'd be like, why you should buy this or this. And we'd watch these courses on kind of marketing. And I never stopped to think, what am I doing here? Like, what's the actual, like, what's the point of all this? And it was just putting all this energy into kind of trying to get, essentially what, although it can be blurred and obscured, essentially trying to kind of, get other people's money. And then one day I thought, I don't know. I felt like, this just, all this energy, I thought that the last year, although, financially you can achieve something, all that energy could have been put into a film or an album or a song, and I thought, it's funny how the more you kind of go with what the world tells you to do, the further away you get from what just feels right. And I think you're right. I think people, they oppress that feeling. They say, no, I've got to do this. And obviously, understandably, some people aren't in a situation where it's at all easy to have the freedom to create, obviously, and there's obviously financial pressures. But if you're able to get to a place where they're met and then have that extra energy to put into stuff, I feel like you're right. The people who kind of go down a more kind of, shall we say, like cognitive route, who are artistically minded, it does almost build, I feel. And you do, I've experienced as well people who you can tell they're really bitter about something, and it's usually because they know that it's just a constant reminder of their failure to achieve what they really wanted to achieve in life.